to convey. What I really want to say about Scott that I could say in a very short period of time, because nobody wants to sit and listen to me speak for this long. So I think that probably the thing that I can point to in one of our many adventures was when we went to Leadership Academy together. So as brand new board members, we had the opportunity to attend Leadership Academy, and I think that that's probably when I really saw Scott's true leadership qualities shine. And it was wonderful because we got a chance to really get to know ourselves as board members. We network with other board members and find out how they were doing things in their counties. And we could come back and ask questions about why we do things the way that we do in Kendall County. Not that we wanted to do things like anybody else, because Scott was the first one to jump up and say, we're Kendall County, we do things the way that we do things here because it's what works for us. But I did get to see his passion and his commitment to his constituents, and just got to see what a loyal, hardworking, dedicated leader that Scott was. And so I will tell you that we've carried that through, he's carried that through in every position that he's ever held. And I will tell you, I could not be prouder to stand up here and say something about Scott. And I think that, he pushed us when we as a board were starting to get a little complacent. And so he pushed us hard, and we worked hard on a transparency initiative to hold us all accountable and to build that bridge between government and taxpayers. He absolutely loved it. We never had words or anything. But it was great. It was, he will stand up and do the right thing and say the right thing. Not because it's popular, because sometimes, and I think I just got done saying this to somebody here a few minutes ago, sometimes that's the hardest time to stand up for what's right because you're standing alone. And Scott's never afraid to do that. He's not afraid to work tirelessly for what he believes in and for what is right for all of us as taxpayers. He's got good, strong Republican core values, and I will tell you, he stands on those and fights for those. He fights for us, and we need to have him fight for us in whatever your quest is. So I hope you will join me in supporting Scott as he continues to support and protect us as taxpayers.
Well, I've had the honor of saying a few words. My name is Dwight Baird, your Kendall County Sheriff. I've known Scott a number of years. I haven't served with him on a board, but I can tell you that his integrity is impeccable. One thing about Scott, he is a leader. He's led in many positions. He's been on the library board. He's been on the Plan Commission. He's served as our Central Republican chairman. So he really is deep in Kendall County. He graduated here in high school in Plano, Kendall County. And boy, look at the energy here tonight. Look at the energy here tonight in this room for Scott Gryder as he makes his announcement on what he wants to do in his next step. I think it's all around the room, but I used to be a detective back in the day. That's another reason. Boy, just look at the people in this room. We have the mayor of Yorkville here. We have our next governor of Illinois. And there's people like Richard that are here that have worked with Scott over the years because Aurora is in Kendall County, and we welcome that. It's just the leadership that Scott has brought, and just the energy, bringing people together, the collaboration. He's always had good values, and whatever is best for Kendall or whatever board you serve on. And it's people like Scott that understands the working class, the people here in Kendall County, and he's going to take that to Washington, and he is going to represent us because he knows our needs, because he's from us. So I want to introduce Scott Gryder, our next congressman for 14.
I kind of want to just leave it there. Thanks. As you said, I'm Scott Gryder. I'm your county board chair. But beyond that, I'm also a husband, a father, which is my daughter Reagan, a son, a brother, a cousin, a colleague, a friend, and I invited you all here tonight to announce that I'm running for the nomination for the 14th Congressional District to be your next representative in the United States House of Representatives. So with that, I've got a deep-seated passion for public service that started with the cornerstones of my family, who were my grandfathers. Both of them, and many of us in this room, I'm looking right at you, Sandy. Nick Moisa was dear to me, and was in Pearl Harbor. My grandfather, Earl, he was in Schofield Barracks when Pearl Harbor was bombed back in World War II and fought throughout the South Pacific. My other grandfather was in Normandy, just days after the D-Day invasion, and fought in Europe throughout the years. And those men were the cornerstone of our family, and instilled that public service mindset, and that love of our country and of America that I have today. And my dad, who just recently passed away, he served in the United States Army, and this is how I give back to our community, is to serve our public in this way. And many of you are wondering, why now? Why Congress? Why not continue on the county board? It's something that I've loved. I've had such a great opportunity. I'm looking around and I see, several of my board members in the room. Sheriff, I've had a great chance to work with you, and many others, Jackie as well. And I love serving it, but I want to take the good work that we've done here to Washington, D.C. As many of you know, I grew up in Plano. Brian,
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. I
Good vouch for him.
I was at a crossroads to do, kind of what to do with my life. And for those of you that know, I mentioned my dad passing back in November, and a few of you came out to the funeral. You've heard about my steak dinner conversation. And, I was kind of at a crossroads. I was working in, I was a produce guy. That's where I met Heather, was produce at Safari Market in Yorkville years ago. And then I went over and worked at the Walmart. And, I was kind of, do I go to school? Do I, take a job as a manager at the Walmart? It's, good money for a 20-year-old kid is $35,000 a year, and 401k and insurance, and maybe I'll do this. I've always had, like I said, the public service mindset. So I'm like, I'll run for Alderman someday and make a nice living. Well, then I split with my dad. We were having steak at some steakhouse, and he was kind of talking about his own life and said, and some of the pros and the cons and the good and the bad that he did, and said, I guess you get from life what you make of it. And those words changed the trajectory of my life. Right that second, I knew that I was going to get everything I could out of my life and leave with no regrets. And so that's why I am here right now. It started right then. And so I decided to go, at that moment, went to University of Illinois Springfield, where political science was my passion, but I got a business major because I didn't want to make some money, and I had that political science. So I did that. But while I was there, I had this awesome opportunity to be an intern for the speaker in Washington, D.C. I lived out there for an entire summer, and it's where I got bit with the bug when I was out there. There were many mornings that I lived about 4.5 blocks from the Capitol. There was like 12 of us that lived in a house, and we kind of piled on each other, but it was 4 blocks from the Capitol of the United States. It was really cool, walking by the Supreme Court, Library of Congress every day, and I would sit outside every now and again on a bench outside the Capitol before going into the office, and you just kind of take it in and think about it. And, this is the beacon of democracy around the world, of freedom, and I still carry that with me today. It's such a neat thing. It's why I'm so excited, to take on this journey. However, I came back to reality, after doing that, and I finished up school. I went to DePaul College of Law, became an attorney, and married my wonderful wife. And thank you. And then we settled in Oswego to raise our beautiful daughter Reagan as well. And then I immediately became involved in our community. I became, as Dwight said, the chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals, of the Planning Commission, the Oswego Library District. I was involved with the downtown redevelopment plan. You name it, if there's a committee or something, I found my way on it. Somewhere or another, Connie, you were one of them that likes to pull me into those. In 2012, I had an unsuccessful run for village board. And you learn a lot when you lose something like that. You think about all the things that you did wrong, and decided I was going to do things differently, and I did. I went out and I talked to as many people as I could. I knocked on as many doors as I could. I put up signs everywhere, and I came back and I won for a county board, that year. And a few years later, 2016, my peers selected me to be the chair of the board. What was great about that is, as I said, I'm mentioning, I raised my family in Oswego. I grew up in Plano. Much of my family's from Yorkville. So when you're in the county, you get the things you do affect everybody. And so for me, it's been great. It's just kind of like, it's my home. You get to drive around and the things that we do today, we talk about this all the time as board members and former board members and mayors. It affects our people tonight. It's the things that we do now. And so since being on the board, one of the things I've done is I've led by forging consensus, backed by conviction, and trying to do what's right for the people that I serve. At the end of the day, that's what I try to do. Early on, when I got elected, I kind of had a lot of people, they tell you, oh, you need to do this or you need to do that. And finally got to a point where I was just going to do what I thought was right. And if they didn't like it, they didn't like it. And, John was on the board back then. It'd be crazy. Where something came back and it just didn't sit well with me. I made a ruckus about it. I was the only no vote, and I was okay with it, And so from then on, I just did what I thought was the right thing to do, and that's what I'm going to take to Washington with me too. So, I'm entering this race because it's a country I love. The Illinois 14th, I feel like, are being failed right now by our current Democratic leaders in Washington, and there's really tragic fallout from the misguided policies. Communities are under siege by criminals that are comforted by the cause to defund the police. And, inflation also rots away the value of our hard-earned dollars and the equity of our life's work. There's growing economic volatility due to the anti-growth energy policy causing prices of getting to work and heating your home to rise. We all have been to the store. We all know that our prices at home are going up. American energy independence would also help defend democracy abroad as well. It's no coincidence that what you saw today with Russia going into Ukraine, that they feel emboldened to invade neighbors just as the U.S. falls behind in energy production because we buy some from Russia. Following the edicts that shut our kids out of schools, parents lost incomes while staying home to watch their children. And we're told that the solution to inflation that takes away our hard-earned dollars and the equity of our life's work is to print more money. Well, that doesn't work. And I recently read the federal debt has gone up 30% in just the last couple of years. 30%. That's a huge number. That's got to stop. And we have to get our inflation under control. We need to put an end to Washington's unyielding overreach, and limited government is more than lip service to people. With a decade in office at the local level, I know America's most important work is accomplished locally in our communities, between neighbors and friends who must seek compromise and accommodate. And compromise isn't a bad word. Sometimes you have to do it to get things done. There are certain core principles we don't back off of, but there are things that we can compromise on to get things done and accommodate competing interests for mutual benefit. While Illinois lost populations is something that I'm really proud of, there's a map that shows the state of Illinois from the last census, and Kendall County is the only one in green that has grown over 15%. One of my friends kind of joked that that's my pinup on my wall. Is I got the map and I love it bright green and growing. But while we lost population of these states that are offering competitive, and I'm looking at you, Mayor or Governor, they're going to the competitive pro-family, pro-business, pro-freedom policies in other states. And I drove a consensus-based agenda forward that helps propel Kendall County to the top in growth among all Illinois counties. And thank you. I see another one of my board members over here, and you guys are kind of scattered around the room. That's all of us that were able to do that. As DC politicians ushered in rampant inflation, I fought to control taxes for our homeowners and our small businesses. While Washington bureaucrats hamstrung competition with mandates and regulations to benefit the politically powerful and well-connected, I introduced a 10-point transparency plan. I encouraged competition for vendor services, and I streamlined efficiency in bidding to produce significant taxpayer savings. Instead of crippling our economy with Green New Deal schemes, we found a serviceable solution to install solar-generated power for our courthouse, for our health department, and for our public safety center. We've saved over $1.5 million by doing that. Instead of empty slogans like "Build Back Better," I led the way toward massive transportation improvements. The Elder Main Road Bridge is under construction. That's the second bridge in the last 30 years, I think. The second span over the Fox River in the last 100 years in Kendall County. We have the Collins Road extension that's going through, and once that's completed, we'll essentially have a corridor that'll connect I-80 to 88, imperative for a growing county like ours. The Route 47 widening is coming, provides needed benefits to our communities, especially real jobs with good wages as well. We've worked hard to keep Kendall County a safe place to live for our residents. I've supported and promoted our law enforcement. I've endorsed and increased our training and equipment needed for our great Sheriff, Dwight Baird, who along with his deputies, they do an outstanding job for our community. Thank you, Sheriff. Lynn, where'd you go? Make your way to the back. When we first ran, one of the things that we talked about was improving our ties with our local municipalities and leaders. And you can look around the room, and some of you might be thinking, hey, there's a governor candidate here, but he's a mayor here. He's a mayor in Aurora that touches Kendall County. I've got a mayor in Yorkville, middle of Kendall County. I don't know if there are any others snuck in here. Oswego Mayor Troy Farley is here. We've got some great. There's good timing. I was talking about our mayors. So we did that. We have been able to forge those better relations, and that's something that I look forward to doing across the 14th district. We can build these relationships up and do what's best for the people of the 14th Congressional District. I'll take that advocacy and that consensus building with me as we make the 14th Congressional the best it can be. I'm really proud of our proven record. And if elected, I promise that every day that I serve in Congress will be spent the same way, tackling these hard jobs with hard work on behalf of the citizens that have trusted me to fight for them. But I can't do this alone. And thank you all for being here, because I need your help. And that includes fundraising. That includes volunteering, knocking on doors, making calls, getting signatures for my petitions, doing friend-to-friend cards, any number of things. If you can think of it, if you think it will help, we'll get people out to vote for my campaign, for our campaign. I need that help. And I need you to tell your friends and your family to get out and vote. May 19th is when early voting starts. Do it early. Right? Yeah. It'll be warm. Exactly. It'll be warm. That's right. You can get the voting out of the way and just go do that. We'll go voting or something afterwards, and but I need that and need your help. And together we can reclaim the mantle of liberty, secure the American dream for future generations. And I'm just grateful for all of you being here tonight. Thank you for coming out.